let's shift gears here, man. Let's talk about the transfer portal. So it is early. I mean, it is only December 3rd, but there already are some big names in the portal. A majority of them are quarterbacks, of course, because, quarterback is the most important position. And by nature of that, most quarterbacks hit the portal. There's a lot of shuffling of the deck. So really quick, let's go through some of these high profile transfer portal players. Again, it's December 3rd, so maybe there are some big names that are still to be put in the portal. But as of now, this is the list. Listen, we said this only 2 weeks ago. We were like, man, if Chip Kelly's leaving, like Dante Moore, like his what is the first one to put his name in the portal. And sure enough, like that man literally put his name in the portal as soon as it opened. Like listen, man, all I gotta say is
I have three spots for him. I think he's going to go to one of three teams. I feel like there's an 80% chance I'll be right about this. Oregon, no more Bo Nix. Bring in some competition for Ty Thompson and see where it goes from there. He was already committed to Oregon at one point in time.
Yep.
And he's certainly going to be a candidate there. And my third spot is Florida State. Ooh. We saw what they have behind Jordan Travis, and look, those guys could develop. A lot of them are very young, but I think Florida State really wants to get a guy with a high ceiling. And if they can get Dante Moore on the right path, I mean, he was a 5-star, highly rated guy for a reason. Could be their next Jordan Travis if they can develop him properly. So I think Dante Moore will end up at one of those three schools.
That's interesting. Yeah. I mean, Florida State did seem like they were dead set on having Tate Rodemaker as the heir apparent to Jordan Travis, but I could definitely see that being a legitimate competition if you have Tate Rodemaker versus Dante Moore, and maybe have, Dante Moore as Tate Rodemaker insurance. That would be interesting. And then, I mean, Oregon, obviously, because he was already committed there and they need a quarterback now. So those all make very good sense to me. And yeah, man, I'd actually, if I had to bet right now, I'd say most likely he does end up one of those three schools. I think that's a good list. And we'll see, if Chip Kelly is a pretty good coach, but we'll see if maybe just new change of scenery can turn his career around. But not off to the greatest start. Sure. Cam Ward, now, in terms of just ready to go, like this is going to help win games for you next year, talent in the portal, it is Cam Ward. I think he's number one on my list. Like, this dude, listen, he's at Washington State. Not a lot of people know about him. I'll say this, not a lot of casual college football fans know about him. I he goes to a big time blue blood program. His name is going to be well known next year.
Yeah. So here's where I'm predicting. I think he is either going to end up, and Washington State fans would hate this, being the heir apparent to Michael Penix at Washington. Ooh. Because I have heard Washington has made him a pretty handsome offer.
I saw that too.
My other team is Auburn. I heard Auburn wants him pretty dang bad, and they're willing to offer him a bag. And we know Auburn's got the pockets. So I think Cam Ward is going to end up at one of those two schools. I saw that Cam Ward had 8 offers of $1 million or more. Oregon is also in the mix for Cam Ward. So we'll see, man. Either way, Cam Ward is going to be a player next year. He'll be contending.
I mean, it makes sense. You got to pay up for quarterbacks in the portal. It's a premium position, so you're gonna have to pay. You're gonna have to pay those 6 figures for that, or 7 figures. I mean, yeah. Listen, as a pure fan,
Miami made an offer too.
Oh, of course,
and Ohio State.
Well, I'm not surprised Miami's in there. So I'll say this: as a purist college football fan, I think Cam Ward should go to Auburn. That just makes, when you said Auburn, like I can just totally picture Cam Ward at Auburn and him absolutely thriving with Hugh Freeze. Like that is something that I think could totally take off Auburn in year 2 with Hugh Freeze, is having Cam Ward there. Like he may not go there, but all I'm saying is that I could totally picture him in an Auburn uniform. Like as soon as you said that, I picture in an Auburn uniform, and I picture Auburn like having like a huge like takeoff year 2 with Freeze and Cam Ward there. Like I could totally see that.
I'm going to predict I'm going to predict my top 3 teams here, and I feel pretty confident it'll be one of these 3 teams. Auburn, Ohio State or Washington.
If he goes to
I think it's going to be one of
Washington,
those
man,
three.
that would be oof. You
The
can't
money's
do
right.
that, man. I know money
Oh, come
talks,
on.
man, but
No
you
one
can't
cares
do that,
anymore.
dude.
Nobody cares
Uh,
anymore.
oof, that would be a blow to Wazoo right
There,
there.
there is no loyalty in college football anymore. Come on, Shoob. I thought you knew this.
Especially since they extended the Apple Cup, so they're going to play each other next year. So like Washington State would play him if he went there next year. That would be savage. All right. Next up is Will Howard, Kansas State quarterback. Now this one makes a lot of sense just because Avery Johnson he's the future of Kansas State, and Avery Johnson looks like he's
He's
got a bright
good.
future there. But Will Howard is a
Hmm.
pretty good quarterback in his own right. I mean, like it's honestly, if you're looking at this and you're like, wow, Will Howard left Kansas State, that should tell you something about Avery Johnson, what the future is looking like there if Will Howard left that situation. But rumor is right now that there's some pretty good schools looking at him. And I saw a report
Hmm.
today that apparently USC is meeting with him. That was literally today.
Yep.
So he's
So
he's
I
gonna get some
saw
big
you.
time interest.
I saw USC, Auburn, Louisville, Washington, Kentucky, and Missouri have reached out. Missouri surprises me because Brady Cook's been solid.
Yeah, I was about to ask you that. Would you consider Will Howard a significant upgrade over Brady Cook? Not just a slight upgrade, like
I
a
actually think Brady
significant.
Cook's better. No, I actually think Brady Cook's better than Will Howard, and he's younger, and I think he can be better too with more playing time. Brady
Yeah,
Cook took a leap this year. He really did. I think Brady Cook is actually going to be a pretty solid quarterback next year, and he's going to catch some eyes next year.
interesting. Yeah, USC, it was not slightly surprising, a little
And they got
surprising to
Malachi
me.
Nelson, but I guess Malachi must not be ready yet. They maybe want someone who's more proven.
That's what tells me like you have to read between the lines here. And when I look at the transfer portal, when I look at stuff like that, I'm like, if USC was fully confident that Malachi Nelson was ready to go and like take off with USC in the new Big Ten next year, they wouldn't be looking at quarterbacks in the portal. So I kind of read between the lines there.
I
But
agree.
yeah, that'll be interesting, man. This is one of those where I'm like, I really can't, I don't have a finger or a pulse on where he's going to go, but I will be interested to see like what type of school actually gets him because I think that's going to tell you a lot about what Kansas State has for itself next year because he left that
I think
situation.
I don't know why, man, but I feel like Louisville. I don't know why. I can totally see him in a Louisville uniform. It
I
just
mean,
makes sense to me.
it would make sense from a coaching standpoint too. I mean, you want a guy like Jeff Brom as your coach if you're a quarterback. I could totally see that. He'd be a big upgrade over Plummer. I'll tell you that. That would be a great get for Louisville. All right, next up is Riley Leonard. Now, there's been a lot of buzz. Like, literally, the minute that man's name was entered in the portal, everyone was like, oh, he's going to Notre Dame. I mean,
And I'm pretty sure he is. Yeah.
yeah. 24/7 Sports has 100% prediction of Notre Dame on him. And like, I saw something on social media. Like, somebody went through his Instagram follows and he's following all a bunch of Notre Dame people, a bunch of Notre Dame accounts.
He's going to Notre Dame.
Like,
We
man,
don't
tampering's
even
out
need
of
to be
control,
around the
bro.
bush on that. Yeah. I mean, speaking of tampering, Max Johnson entered the portal and like less than 24 hours later, he's committed to North Carolina. So
I mean, listen, like a lot of these dudes have connections. Like it's not like they just enter the portal with a complete blank slate of like, oh, I don't know where I'm gonna go, and then an hour later, like somebody's calling them up, like, hey, you want $1 million? Come here. Like, I don't think it's like that. Like these dudes definitely like there is backdoor communication. Like these dudes have connections. They kind of have an idea of like, hey, if I hit the portal, I kind of want to go here. I just can't like officially say it yet. I feel like that's part of it, and there definitely is like, hey, yeah, if you come here, like we'll offer you some money, and I feel like that's kind of how it goes. And I'm sure this is no different, but yeah, either way, technically it's still tampering, but we all know like there's nobody can enforce that.
there's no
But yeah, what do
rules.
you
No
think about
rules.
as far as Riley Leonard though to Notre Dame? If he goes to Notre Dame, what do you think Notre Dame's ceiling is next year with him as the quarterback versus what they got from Sam Hartman?
I think it's going to be about the same.
Different style.
I
I
don't think he's
mean,
an improvement over Sam. I don't think it's an improvement over Sam, but I don't think it's a downgrade either. I think he's going to be kind of in the same ballpark.
as a dual threat, he's a huge upgrade over Sam Hartman, but as a pure passer, that's a downgrade. It's a big downgrade.
Yeah.
And health
I'm
too.
talking in terms of impact. I think he's going to be, I think In terms of impact, I think he's going to be about what Sam Hartman was.
That makes sense. I probably would agree with that too. I think health is a huge factor too. Like, is he going to be the same player post injury that he has been? I mean, we'll see. Next up is DJ Uiagalelei. He is somehow he's got
He's
another year of
rumored to two
eligibility.
schools right now.
Somehow he's got another year of
Yeah.
eligibility, and he's back in the portal
So
because
so
his coach
far,
left. So where's he going, man?
talk about Oregon State fans having a bad year. You know what team is reaching out to him right now? Oregon.
Oh gosh,
Oregon's doing their homework on a lot of transfer quarterbacks right now. Florida State is also rumored to be in the mix for DJU.
ooh,
So hey, man, that'll be an interesting one to see where DJU lands.
yeah,
This transfer portal, man, with all the quarterbacks in it, it's gonna be fun to see where all these people end up. Honestly,
it
this
is
is one thing
fun.
that's actually kind of fun about the transfer portal, seeing all these quarterbacks move around and shift. And this is one thing that's cool. Unless it's your school losing like a top tier quarterback, it's kind of cool to see the wealth get spread a little bit in terms of everyone having a solid starting quarterback, or at least like the top 30 programs after so long.
Oh, 100% agreed. I think not a lot of people, including us, I don't think we're the biggest fans of how the new landscape of college football is oriented, but I will say I am enjoying this. Like, this is fun. Is the quarterback market in the transfer
In
portal
terms of
every year?
QBs, it's
Yes,
fun. Yeah.
it is. Tyler Van Dyke, he's hitting the portal from Miami. I have two thoughts on this. One, Tyler Van Dyke, man, listen, I was hyping him up, especially after last year or 2021. Last year, big dip. This year, sort of an improvement, but still not the greatest. I feel like on one hand, like, he definitely doesn't have that like high NFL ceiling that I originally thought that he once did. And he does kind of really choke in big moments too. But on the other hand, I'm like, well, if he just gets away from Mario Cristobal, who seems to be, the quarterback suppressor out here, if he just gets away from Cristobal, like Cristobal's kind of Jimbo, man. Cristobal is really Jimbo light. They both can recruit their butts off. They got a lot of NIL money to spend, and they both really suppressed quarterback talent.
Yeah.
I think if you put TVD, just get him away from Mario Cristobal, just like Haynes King, just get him away from Jimbo Fisher. Could we see like a senior breakout or something like that? A late bloomer season for Tyler Van Dyke.
Now I feel like it's switched. Now that you're more like low on him, I feel like I'm higher on him. And I feel like that's because I know he's escaping Cristobal. And I've watched Van Dyke and I've watched him make good throws. I've watched him have a strong arm with like a good release. So the thing about Van Dyke is I've seen him just look like he flicks the ball and that ball travels really well. And that's an NFL arm talent. Now, can he translate that? We'll see. Thing is, Miami's been a dumpster fire. So I'd like to see what he can do in a better system. Maybe someone like a Tyler Van Dyke. Do you think Tyler Van Dyke could be better than Kyle McCord if he's throwing to Marvin Harrison and all that? I think he might. I think if Tyler Van Dyke went to play for Ohio State, there's a chance he gets drafted in the first 2 rounds. Granted, I don't think Ohio State's going to offer him, but I'm really intrigued to see where Tyler Van Dyke ends up. We know UNC is off the mat because they just took that Texas A&M transfer. Maybe Tyler Van Dyke messes around and ends up in Washington. There's a lot of teams right now who are looking for that new bridge quarterback to their next big guy. Washington is certainly one of them. So yeah.
If I'm Tyler Van Dyke, I can revive my career by picking a portal destination with a
Or UCLA
coach that is known for developing quarterbacks and is good at scheming things open. Because if I'm Tyler Van Dyke and have a good quarterback that can put me in the system and actually can utilize me properly, I can have my career revived. Yeah, it'll be interesting, man.
Or even NC State. Even NC State, man.
Last up on the list, Grayson McCall, Coastal Carolina quarterback. Now, truth be told, this man's name should have been in the portal last year, but then something with his grades. Something with his grades. Well,
you're supposed to go to Auburn, man.
Somebody must have got those grades up because he's in the portal now and he's eligible. Did he graduate? Maybe he graduated. Maybe he's a grad.
So what I heard is that he wanted to go to Auburn, but the degree that he had his credits in, Auburn didn't offer.
Oh, that's right.
So
that's right.
he wouldn't be able to like graduate or transfer his credits, so he had to go back to Coastal.
And even in today's age of college football, that alone was what prevented him from going to Auburn.
But hey, man, so it's rumored pretty heavily that NC State's going after Grayson McCall pretty hard.
That makes sense.
They had a sit down meeting with him yesterday. Like they invited him over, and yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if any day it gets announced Grayson McCall to NC State. But I'm actually, you know what? Pump the brakes, because I think Grayson McCall is a guy who's going to get phone calls from Wisconsin, Iowa, Minnesota's of the world. I truly think so. He's going to have a little bit of a market, and we'll see. I can't wait. I can't wait. In terms of quarterbacks, man, and for the transfer portal every year, the quarterback movement is kind of exciting. I won't lie.
No, it definitely
really is. Especially it gives us so much to talk about going into next year too, and win totals and projecting how a team's going to do. That's the exciting part.
And I think it's like, NFL free agency. It's like NFL free agency, when a good player is on the market, there's maybe like 4 or 5, maybe 6 teams that are in the mix, and you're like, oh, that would be interesting. But in college football, there is legitimately like a whole wide open field. Like it could be anywhere. Some of these guys, like, we have no clue. Like this could be like 30 different schools. Like we have legitimately no clue. Some of it is very random. And it's just like, whoa, like there, like that's like, it's like picking a name out of a hat, blindly. It is pretty fun.
Mm-hmm.